Welcome to Truth in Lending, a podcast by mortgage people for mortgage people. We are managing all those all-important customer relationships today with Spencer Dusebout of Aidu, the mortgage CRM software with intelligent automation. Also, we have a heaping helping of news and opinion.
Lots of opinion.
Guess what today is, you guys?
It's season 3 finale.
It is our season 3 finale already. I can't believe it. And it's almost the end of September. September 20th, 2023.
Holy moly.
Oh, I'm going to need help today because I clearly cannot get words out of my mouth.
That's okay. We can make this work.
Yeah.
I'm happy you brought back the podcast by mortgage people for mortgage people. I love it.
Thanks.
I love it.
So Spencer Dusebout with Aidu, welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Great to be here.
So who are you, and how did you land in the mortgage industry? Because you've got to have some history with the mortgage industry, right?
Yeah, I do. So I'm a techie, if you will. I've never underwritten a mortgage in my life. I've built a lot of software. At one point, I created a company that was doing predictive data in the real estate space. So we were basically predicting when people would be more likely to sell homes and then generate leads, sell those leads to realtors. Lead gen is probably a business I won't get into again because everyone complains about the lead quality, and rightfully so to an extent. But I think it gave me a great glimpse into sort of this space as a whole. And when I would hear from realtors, hey, these leads suck, I'm not getting any traction from them, the questions I would ask was like, well, unpack that for me. And, it was always something like, well, I got this lead 3 days ago. I left a voicemail. I haven't heard back from them. And in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, these are internet leads. It takes probably 5, 6, 7 touch points to really be able to get through to them statistically. And I think what I began to realize is just, look, any real estate transaction there's no real estate transaction created equal, and they're chaotic, and it's the biggest purchase of someone's life, and they're emotional, and there's things going on, and there's deadlines to hit. And you realize that like a real estate professional, someone that will pick up their phone day or night, not even knowing who's calling them. That's sort of the persona. And so it's really hard to block and tackle and make that 5th, 6th, 7th follow-up call. And I think what was surprising is there just wasn't a lot of great technology out there to help either A, streamline the transaction process, keep everyone on the same page, or B, help them convert their leads. And that's where I saw an opportunity to build Aidu and to help loan officers do both of those things.
Yeah. So going into, obviously, Aidu is a CRM, right? So can you give us like a broad overview of what a CRM is and why it's valuable to use one? And I think you kind of started to touch on that. Open the door there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so CRM is a place where you store all of your leads and your contacts and all of your loan information all in one place. So it's easy to sort of see who you've done deals with, who you're doing deals with currently. And that was sort of the first gen of CRMs, was basically just storing this data in an organized format online. And of course, over time, more and more bells and whistles have been added to where it's like, well, now you can create workflows. So if somebody is a lead and they progress to a certain status or a certain field gets updated, you can send them an email, or you can send them a text, or you can create a task for your team internally. And so
I think the follow-ups and reminders are so valuable because in our industry, it's so much of a reaction response, right? It's not until an email comes in and then we know what we need to do. And so it's like those automatic, intuitive, like, okay, this is what you have to do next is really, really valuable.
So do you know the one rule of truth in lending?
It's going to be
What's
hard
one
one.
rule?
We only literally have one rule. So, Katie and I, we're technically competitors. We don't all work for the same place, and Greg's in real estate. But the one rule of truth in lending is no shameless self-promotion. And that only really applies to loan officers or realtors. So we're going to make an exception for you today.
You get to boast away.
Because I think this is something that we can all benefit from.
Definitely. Yeah. I've been through probably 10 CRMs in my real estate career. And
You sound so old, Greg.
I know. What sets ADM apart from
But
other
doesn't
CRMs?
That speaks to CRMs in general, right? There's a lot of bad ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot that were built a number of years ago where they can maybe only capture one part of the borrower's journey, right? There's the handoff from the realtor, there's the process getting them pre-qualified, getting the application, there's the transaction itself, and of course there's the post-close, trying to keep a relationship and have them be a quote-unquote client for life. I think kind of the two things that we really set out to do at ADM is, one, we are a CRM, sort of built by LOs for LOs, in the sense that, like, we don't have an ego here. I've never done a loan. You all tell me what you need and what you want. Like, what are the real pain points in your day to day, right? And I think that's how we've approached it. We've tried to create something that is super easy to use and simple, but also very powerful. And so I think the second thing that we've done a good job of is really creating sort of an end-to-end solution. So we don't, we do the lead conversion. We help you convert more applications. We keep everyone up to see what's going on in transaction. We stay in touch with your borrowers, for life. So we really kind of do that whole thing. And one of the things we saw was that, oftentimes loan officers, realtors have to kind of couple together 3, 4, 5 systems to really be able to do that. And that's not a fun thing to have to be able to do. It's super inefficient and also expensive. So we just saw an opportunity to kind of take the best of 3 or 4 systems out there, really combine it into one, to empower our customers.
Great. I will say this. I want to talk about the 2%, the 2% rule. So I try to always connect things in my life from one experience to the other, and I like to do fishing derbies. So that's one of my hobbies, right? A few times a year I go on these kokanee fishing derbies. And you've got 30, 40, 50 teams out there on the lake, and we're all trying to catch these fish as fast as we can. And at the end of the derby, you weigh them in, and the people that consistently win these derbies, because I know how to catch fish, I can catch a lot of fish. Mm-hmm. But the people that are winning, they're doing that extra 2%. So whether it's they're finding ways to create efficiencies and finding little efficiencies. Wow, I see what you did there, Katie. Thanks. Love it. And so I feel like that also really correlates with our business. I'm always trying to connect the dots somehow, but the people that are doing that extra 1 or 2%, right? Because I can go out, currently right now, I don't really use my CRM. I'm with Simple Nexus, and, I kind of use it. I look occasionally, but I've never really done the math on my lead conversion. I'm just always, as Katie mentioned earlier, I'm playing defense, right? I'm getting all these leads are coming in, my phone's ringing, and then someone might just disappear for a few weeks and I haven't followed up on them. And there's this potential business that's sitting out there, this extra 2% that's out there that I'm not focusing on to improve my business.
Yeah.
So
Here, I thought you were talking about the 2% being typical lead conversions, right? On those leads. But that's the statistic is 2% of those online leads that you get, you can convert into a real deal. So I thought that's where you were going to go. But on the topic of lead conversion, what would you say kind of in that sales platform that you've created you've seen be, I don't want to say what exactly is your conversion rate, but why is it so important, and what kind of strengths add to that?
Yeah, I think there's sort of 3 things I'd say to that. I think the first is we do an integration with a number of point of sales. So, like, Randy mentioned Simple Nexus. Our integration with Simple Nexus works in the sense that if someone starts an application and they all of a sudden they realize I have to start uploading all this stuff, maybe I don't have the time or I don't want to right now, we'll keep following up with them until they basically upload those documents and complete their application. And, that could look anywhere on the spectrum of we follow up a few times to we hit them 50 times over the next 6 months, right? I mean, why wouldn't you? I mean, at that point, they raised their hand, like they can say no, right? But if you think about it from that perspective, like we've seen case studies where we help people increase their application conversion rates by 11%, right? And so you have 100 applications sitting there, just use a round number, that means that's 11 more that we're helping you convert. I mean, you do the math on that. It's not small. It's not insignificant. And I think it just has to do with sort of amping up your activity, right? I think the 2% is a great concept, I think, but what leads to the 2% is really amping up your activity by like 500%, right? You have an application that's sitting there and, you know, you might call them once or twice. You might have an assistant that will call a couple of times. But why not just have your CRM or your system follow up with them 30 or 40 times and just, you don't have to worry about it. It's just done. It's taken care of. It's doing the work for you. I mean, no human on earth has the time or the energy or the focus, or at least I certainly do not, to have to do those 30, 40 follow-up touch points. But, you know, the technology can, right? And so I think that's a great example. And I think the other thing that we like to do is, it seems very sort of nebulous sometimes, like what these platforms can do, right? And so I think one of the things we've leaned into is data, and really showing you like what your conversion rates are and what they could be if you applied a certain workflow or a certain automation. So it becomes a little bit more tangible in the sense that, like, did you realize you left this much money on the table? Well, here's what we recommend. Why don't you apply this automation to that? Or did you realize that, like, you're sending all of these emails to people at this stage, and we could just create a simple workflow that's doing that, you know, for you, right? And, you know, you can send a text to the realtor on the transaction, letting them know that the loan came back conditionally approved, and here's what you're doing. Like, should you really be spending your time doing that, or should you be trying to get new business and converting new business? I mean, you really think about it. And so that's how we designed it, to be flexible. And I think what we've leaned into is the data component to help people see, like, this isn't just kind of theory or a thought experiment, but here are the real things that we can do and work together on to help solve, to give you time, or to help you convert more business.
I think you hit the nail on the head. The one thing I take away from that is, you know, just the texting capabilities that you guys have, the SMS capabilities. You know, I send out manually every Friday status updates. They go out to the realtors, they go out to the title people, they go out to the borrowers. I have to manually type those. I have to go in, I have to edit things. That stuff takes time. And when I've got, you know, 30, 40 loans in my pipeline, that stuff takes half my day on Friday. And realtors, no offense, Greg, and no offense to the ones listening, but can really take a while to check their email or to return phone calls. But everybody nowadays checks their texts, right? A text comes in. It's sort of impersonal, but it's a quick thing. You can glance at your phone. You've got the update. Mentally, you store that in. Whereas, you know, these status reports that I've been doing for the last decade, you know, some people really like them, but I'd say half of them probably don't even get read. You know, most people just say, oh, another status report, delete. You know, the ones that are really engaged, or maybe old school like me, maybe still Gen X, stuck in the 90s, might do it. But I think that's one of the things that's really attractive about Aidium, is that it'll do so much for you. And I'm finally starting to come around in my old age of embracing AI. And what can I have technology do for me? How can my business get even bigger and more efficient? You know, by
so that you can
by
go
applying
fishing more?
something like this. Yeah.
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 And I guess
So,
question for you, Randy.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but just like, let's say, you know, you work with Aidium and we give you that time back, we automate that for you. Like, what would you do with half of that day
Fishing.
on a Friday? Just curious.
Katie, he
Golfing.
asked me the question. You know, I would probably go fishing.
There you go.
Or I would be working to convert those additional 11 leads.
Not 1% to 2%.
Right. I would work on more business, because you're exactly right, Spencer. With, you know, in this day and age, we don't have the time to do all of that stuff. And, you know, I have assistants, I have people on my team to help me with my pipeline and manage things, but even they run out of time, and I've got them running circles. And so the more that we can embrace AI and, you know, a CRM like this, I think the better. Greg, you had a question.
Yeah. With AI, are all of these follow-up plans essentially ran through AI, or are they set up as a workflow in the CRM? How does that work through Aidium?
Yeah. And so I think that everyone tries to claim that they're doing AI these days, even though people that are really doing true AI are kind of few and far between, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we've all seen the magic of a chat GPT, that's AI, right? Sending a text or an email to a borrower I can say it's AI, but it's not really AI, and I don't want to insult everyone. I think what we do is like on kind of the data side, we do have some what we call like machine learning, or which is a kind of a subset of artificial intelligence, which basically kind of predicts or categorizes certain things for you. So it starts to predict like these are some of the things you can do to improve, convert more leads and improve what you're doing. We're also in the process of launching a new feature which will start to categorize your leads for you as well, like based on what they're saying and the things they're doing. You really want to talk to these people. The goal is, and kind of where we want to get to early next year, is to be able to send you a notification, Greg, like this is a really good lead. You need to stop everything and talk to this person. And if it's like a mediocre lead, or we can just tell based on their activity that they're okay, like we're not going to bug you with that, right? We don't want to take you away from your fishing or whatever you're doing. But if it's a really hot lead, like you should know. And so that's kind of where we're going. And there's a lot more we can do with that at this point. But like the workflow engine is very robust. You can build all your workflows and automations. We kind of use predictive stuff to help you maybe find the most efficient and most effective ones. But yeah, that's sort of how we leaned into it at this point, and we're excited to keep leaning into it more and more.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, hey, before we wrap things up, you're the second guest in as many weeks. That's from Colorado. You're based out of
2 weeks.
Boulder.
Just last week. We had another.
Just last week. Boulder, Colorado. How are you feeling about the Broncos, and how are you feeling about the Buffaloes?
Concerns about the Broncos. Buffaloes, it's been really exciting. It's there's like, it's almost electric kind of in downtown Boulder and places like that. People are really excited. I've gotten more text messages from people that I haven't spoken to in a while. Hey, I'm thinking about coming out for a game. Are you going to any games? And that hasn't been the case for Buffs fans for a very long time. So I feel very fortunate to be here and to have to kind of get that experience for sure. So feeling good about the Buffs and
well, I'm really sorry about your Saturday.
Yeah, the Saturday you're facing the Ducks. Katie took last week's bet. I'll take a bet this year or this week. Last week she bet Nick White, who was on our show from Greenwood Village, Colorado, a bottle of local booze. But I will do them better. I'm a big like smoked meats fan. Are you a meatitarian?
I saw that coming.
I eat meats for sure.
Okay. So
local smoked meats.
So local meat. I will give you 15. I will give you 15 points.
15 points.
15 points.
The spread.
So you're getting 2+ touchdowns, but I will give you 15 points.
Whoa.
Wow.
So you give me worse odds than the spread then.
Well, I mean the spread's at 20.5 points, and there's no way that Colorado doesn't make a game. I do not believe in the Ducks this year. I just don't. I think that they've got some holes.
I like it, in the spirit of it, I'll take it. But I'm giving you better odds than the spread, so but that's all right. Worst case, I send you some good local smoked meats. And,
And I will,
we'll see.
Yeah, I will eat them on the show, and it will be on YouTube.
And I will drink my bottle.
And she will drink her bottle. Oh, that'll be fun.
Kind of a good thing going here. If you invite guests on and give them worse odds than the spread, you're just getting showered in gifts all the time. It's really smart. I love it.
You can take notes.
Yeah.
But if the Buffs have a bad loss, worst case is I buy Randy some meats. I buy some meats for myself too. So it's totally
it's a win-win.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, tell the listeners the best way to get in touch with you and getting kind of that sample of ADM and all of its magical powers.
Yeah, absolutely. The best place to go is thinkadium.com. So ADM is spelled AIDIUM. So thinkadium.com. You can learn more about what we do there, set up a demo, get a walkthrough. It's really critical that, you get a good understanding of sort of our product and what it can do. There's a lot of systems out there. We don't want to force ADM on anyone. And we, like I said, we're a system built by LOs for LOs. So we love people that have great feedback for us and how to improve, and we're always improving. So love to have that conversation, and feel free to go to the site to learn more and get in touch with us.
Cool.
Let me ask one more question before we let you go. how much does it cost?
Ooh.
Yeah, it depends on the amount of seats. So, an enterprise signing up for a couple hundred licenses is going to be different than one person signing up. But it ranges anywhere from, call it $90 a month to like $130 a month. And that includes obviously your email and sort of unlimited SMS texting as well. So we've tried not to kind of do the nickel and diming. Like you get the whole buffet for that price.
So you close one deal and it pays for the whole year. And I'm motivated enough to know that I'm going to sign up. I will endorse it. If it sucks, I will let everybody know. But I don't think it is. And if I can convert, and if I can go from those 2 out of 100 online leads, if I can convert that to 11, oh man, I'm going to spread this thing like wildfire. So really appreciate you staying on. You're welcome to stick around while we do our news update, or you can hop off. But Spencer, thank you so much for being part of this.
Yeah, thank you all for having me. Love to stick around. Is it just best? You want me to go off camera or?
No,
just stick
around.
Myself.
Yeah,
sure. Let's do it.
Randy's just gonna rant for a little bit, I think.
Yeah, I am gonna rant, but I was playing the wrong music.
Yeah,
Greg,
that was my music.
Greg, you don't have a garage today. We were actually just talking about October 21st. I am swinging with the stars. Central Oregon's very own version of Dancing with the Stars.
This isn't shameless self-promotion.
This is for the kids, okay? This is a charity event, and I will be dancing to the music stylings of
He's famous.
Lizzo.
Oh, man.
I was showing Greg some of my moves in the studio earlier, and
they're good.
Hey,
They are good.
For a big guy, it's pretty great.
I didn't know you could move like that, Randy.
Neither did I. I have a great dance instructor. Okay, enough shameless self-promotion about my dancing skills. Let's talk about the UAW strike, the United Auto Workers strike, among others, right? How is this going to pan out? How is it going to affect inflation, which overall is going to affect the way that the Fed deals with interest rates moving forward. So I saw it said on MBS Live a couple of days ago, asking the automakers for higher wages in a high interest rate environment, which is already creating less demand for new vehicles, is like asking for a squirt bottle to fight a house fire. And I'm not saying by any means that they're greening. So I looked up, I heard some different numbers as far as what the average U.S. auto worker makes. And, I went to like 4 different websites, pretty reputable websites. They only make $22 to $28 an hour.
But that's also in Michigan.
Right. Cost of living is a little bit different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But you got to think about the cost of living, the cost of union dues, right? The cost of interest rates going up, the cost of inflation, everything's getting more expensive. Mm-hmm. So does the United Auto Workers Union have a choice but to strike? I'm actually going to side with the United Auto Workers. Usually I'm not a big union guy, but in this case I am. $22 to $28 an hour. And seeing the record profits that the auto companies are making. I mean, I just bought a new truck this year, and I had to sell my firstborn. I haven't even had a kid yet. I had to sell my firstborn just to get it. Yeah.
It's a house in a lot of the states that these auto workers are living in.
So ultimately, I think it's bad news for inflation, right? There's no choice for it, but I think it means that rates are going to be higher for longer. Wages can't keep up, and eventually companies reach that breaking point between how much things cost, how much they're willing to pass on to consumers. Because eventually the consumers are just going to say, hey, enough is enough. Mm-hmm. I feel like we're going to see layoffs coming. I really do. I think the layoffs are coming.
Yeah. Related to the union auto workers, what are you making that reference to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, okay. And I think it's going to spread to other divisions, because we're not talking just about United Auto Workers here, right? We're talking about many different industries in America where, inflation went up, all these wages went up, we're paying more for things, but things cost more. So ultimately, the dollar doesn't buy what it used to, and interest rates at 7.5%, while nauseating, aren't helping either.
We'll pay more, but you have to work harder.
So we're higher for longer, but when we reach the breaking point, those rates are going to drop like a rock. Let's talk about the difference between the writers and actors strike versus the UAW strike. Now, AI has a lot to do with this, right? So riders are worried about their jobs being put out. It's not so much about, hey, we want more money. Everybody wants more money. No, it's really about how can we protect ourselves? How can we make sure that our way of life that we've spent our entire career doing, how can we do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
Protect ourselves.
Protect yourself. So
Interesting thoughts.
yeah, well, you know,
I
they
like you
were
bringing it up.
they were thoughts, nevertheless.
Opinions. Lots of opinions.
Yeah, you know, hey, I've got some different news music for today.
Ooh, let's hear it.
We're gonna go Top Gun.
All right.
All right.
Spencer, do you have the script with you?
For Top Gun?
No. Well, yes. Yes, Maverick. Oh, goose. Greg, take us away.
The interest rate decision by the Fed is due out today. Any predictions?
In you know what? Here's a prediction. It's a 1% chance that they'll hike rates. I'm going to predict for my magic 8-ball, they will not raise
My
the
boyfriend and I
benchmark
were
rate.
talking this morning. We're like, why can't we bet on this? Like, where's the
Oh,
sports
that
booking
would
app
be
for
fun.
Oh, there
the
is.
Fed's
Oh,
rate?
there
Is
is. Oh, yeah. Vegas will take any bet.
All right.
Spencer, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen?
I do not think they will hike, and I hope that they do not hike to the rest of the year.
Staying
same.
stable.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a 33% chance that they'll hike in November, but a lot of this data is still yet to come. Housing
Staying
starts missed by a mile in the month of August, according to the Calculated Risk blog. The housing shortage continues. At this rate, we need to build 3 times the houses that we are right now for the next 10 years, just so we can catch up.
Not this winter, it seems.
Yeah.
Greg Robb with the Market Watch says that the U.S. economy is trending in the Fed's direction. So expect JP Powell to tread carefully this week. The central bank is likely to suggest it may hike another 25 basis points before the year is over, but may not make a commitment to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They never really
33%.
make a commitment other than we are going to stop inflation.
Builder
That's-
confidence continues to fall as mortgage rates remain high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever
was
seen
a
it?
little lost.
Have you ever seen a builder that's lost his confidence? it's a sad thing. Ellen Zentner of Morgan Stanley tells CNBC, I watched this yesterday actually, even if the Fed doesn't raise the benchmark rate, expect them to stay restrictive. Well, yeah, Ellen, I could have told you that. But, you know, she has a much bigger platform than I do, and this is not trash Ellen
She probably has more
on
fans.
Truth and Lending show. She's definitely got more than 550 listeners.
And corporate bankruptcies are headed for the worst year since 2010, according to Guggenheim Investments.
Guggenheim.
That's a fun one. Quoting Mike Bush, the lead economist for Guggenheim, with less support from disinflation, fiscal policy, and the labor market, the economy should slow down by the year end, and we think a recession is likely by early 2024. That's right around the corner.
I believe it.
Whoa.
So Guggenheim's they are
Guggenheim.
the real deal. When they speak, I listen. That's why I threw that little tidbit of goodies in there. Average
That's
rate's still up from last week. Average 30-year
Improving
fixed
today.
rate, 7.28%. Katie, do we have any errors from our last show?
Oh, there was a name that I did not verify.
You'll have to fix it in
Next
season 4. Spencer, hey, thanks so much for joining us, man. This was great. I will be in touch with you after the show, and I'm a man of my word. I will give ADM a try, and I'll report back.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. And Randy, let's give you that half day of fishing on Friday, all right?
Dude, I am so ready.
Efficient.
Efficient.
You guys, the season 4 guest list is off the hook. We
Cannot
have got
wait.
a lot of big names coming next well,
In a
about
couple months.
Yeah, in about a month and a half. So see you at the end of October, potato heads.